take a shot every time I say bullet journal. Actually, please don't. For legal reasons, please don't. Hi friends, it's Mika from Made by Mika, and today we're going to be talking about bullet journaling. Y'all, I don't know if you've seen this on Pinterest or on YouTube or just that girl sitting next to you in your lecture using 5 different colored pens, but bullet journaling is just, it's a cult. It's a cult. And I gotta say, I'm a proud member of the bullet journal cult. I started bullet journaling in my first year of university and have been doing so every single year since I'm starting my 5th bullet journal next week, and that is insane to me. I gotta say that the bullet journal method has completely changed the way I look at productivity and mindfulness, and it really helped me balance school, part-time work, volunteering, a social life, university applications, and even in my last year, running a small business, traveling, literally everything. I really want to share this with everyone who's curious about bullet journaling because I know it can look a little bit intimidating seeing those beautiful, perfect spreads on Pinterest, but I want to get down to the nitty-gritty today and really introduce you to what bullet journaling is, what it's really like, and all the things you need to keep in mind before you start. We're starting a new year, we got 2021 on the horizon, and with that comes a lot of people making goals and resolutions for the new year, and I think a bullet journal is one of the best ways to stay on top of all of those things. So let's just get started. This is everything you need to know before starting a bullet journal. So what is a bullet journal? So the bullet journal method was created by Ryder Carroll, and he is the father of the bullet journal, and his best description of the bullet journal is a system to put together productivity and mindfulness into one. So it's basically integrating all the things you need to get done, which is the what, and then the reason why you need to get those done, why you want to get those things done, which is the why, and combining them together. And when you're able to successfully combine those two things together, then you're able to create a habit and a system that works really well for you and that doesn't overwhelm you and that really brings out the best in you when it comes to your productivity and your mindfulness. The two main characteristics of a bullet journal. What is a bullet journal physically? It is literally just a blank journal. So a lot of people use journals that have dot grid, which means that instead of grids with lines, there's just a bunch of dots. So these dots just help you follow lines and separate the page into different quadrants or line segments, whatever you need, but you don't need to use a dot grid. I know some people use line notebooks or some people use just blank notebooks and they feel more free in that. I just really like this because I like having straight lines and being able to draw them, but I don't want them to necessarily be there for every single page, so this works best for me. So that's the basis, just a blank notebook, and you're going to be the person who is filling in a notebook and creating the structure for yourself depending on what you need. So essentially it's a planner that you make yourself, but it's your planner and it's your notebook and it's your journal and it's your grocery list and it's your sticky notes all over the house, all in one place. When everything is in just one place, you know, not some information is in my notes app and not some information is in my Google Calendar or my iPhone calendar, whatever it is, it's all here. And this is like the Bible. It sounds so culty. But yeah, that's essentially a very brief description as to what a bullet journal is. But at the end of the day, it's what you need it to be, and I'll talk about that in a second. If you want to know more about specifically the bullet journal method, I haven't read it myself, but Ryder Carroll has a book called The Bullet Journal Method, and apparently it's great, and you can learn more about kind of the thought behind the whole concept and the whole method. I mentioned just a second ago that a bullet journal is everything that you need it to be, and that's your first step when it comes to bullet journaling. You need to take a seat, bring out a pen and a paper and write down everything you need from this bullet journal. Do you want to journal in it? Do you want to track your habits or your water intake, your gym sessions? Do you want to track how much money you spend on groceries or in everyday expenses? Do you want to use it as a scrapbook and more of like a memory book? The really great thing about it is you can do all of those above, but you want to make sure that you really take a look at to what you need it for, and therefore you're going to be able to plan more accordingly what the bullet journal will look like. So that's the first step. A big thing for me is, as a student these past 4 years, I use weekends as the days to get everything done, right? Every other day, Monday to Friday, I have classes, but weekends are the days where I catch up on homework, catch up on assignments, study for midterms. And so a typical bullet journal spread, or even a typical planner that you would buy at like your local bookstore or whatever, each one is different, but a lot of them use the same amount of space for Saturday as they would use for Wednesday, or they would use even less space for the weekend because they assume that people's work week is what needs the most space and the most tasks to get done. And what's really great with the bullet journals, I was able to customize. During my busiest periods, I would use literally a whole page just for one day of the weekend, or split it into two, and one half of the page was Saturday, the other half of the page was Sunday. And that's because it was tailored exactly to what I need, because I use weekends to get everything done. So it really is taking the time to write out everything you need. I want more space for this. I really like looking at my month in like a calendar view, or I don't really care for the calendar view. I want it all in a list. Do you want to write birthdays down ahead of time? Do you want to set a space aside for a future date? Just take a piece of paper and write down everything that you think that you'll need from your bullet journal, and that will help inform your planning in your bullet journal. The next tip is gonna sound a little bit silly, but I think it's honestly really important, and it's to get a cute notebook. To get a notebook that you are very excited to use every single day. I know it's silly, but if you really love the look of your journal, if you feel like a cool person in a cafe writing down in your journal, in the actual notebook, then you're more likely to use it. And that's a really tough thing for a lot of people with bullet journaling. It's because they're not used to it. They aren't able to stay consistent with it. But one thing that really helps to stay consistent is to get a notebook that you really enjoy. Last year I started using the Archer and Olive books, which are really great. They're vegan, it's all fabric covers. The papers are really thick. This is not an ad, but I mean, if you wanted to, you could. Archer and Olive hit me up, and it's a woman-owned company based in California, so big fan of that. But for the first 3 years of bullet journaling, I used the Rhodia soft cover dark red notebooks. The reason I switched actually was because they're kind of hard to find nowadays. I don't know if they just discontinued them, and Rhodia is kind of tough to place because they don't sell it off of their website. But I really like these because I didn't want a hardcover book for the longest time. I wanted it to be bendy. And if you're picky about pens, find a pen that you enjoy writing into, because you're going to be excited to write with it. I know that sounds so geeky, but once you get into it, you're going to be so excited to use your favorite notebook and your favorite pen. So yeah, get a cute notebook. Just do it. Just do it. This is your excuse. I am enabling you to go get another notebook, even though you have like 3 in your bookshelf that you haven't cracked open. So now that we've covered the basics, what a bullet journal is, how it helped me, and what you need from it, I think you're ready to start. You're ready to start writing in it, you're ready to start filling out your spreads, but you might be scared. And that's probably because of all the perfect spreads that you've seen on social media. If you search bullet journal in Pinterest, trust me, those spreads are gorgeous. But I don't want you to let that perfect expectation, that perfect art image deter you from actually starting. Perfection is the furthest thing you should worry about when it comes to a bullet journal. Just like your life and your schedule, it's not perfect, it's messy, and you want to be able to kind of let go of that expectation of perfection, or else you're not going to use your bullet journal at all, and it's just going to be sitting there on the shelf. I have made so many mistakes, and there's so many tips out there on how to fix those mistakes, but honestly, whiteout is your best friend. At the end of the day, you're only going to be looking at that spread for a week, and then you're going to flip the page and move on to the next week. So really, those tiny little mistakes are just realistic. Use those Pinterest spreads and those social media spreads to help guide you when it comes to the outlines and the different spreads and styles that people use, but don't compare, because these people are literally artists and you don't need to be an artist to be a bullet journaler. Speaking of using your bullet journal consistently, another big thing is to make it a habit. What I used to do is at the end of the day, after I close the laptop, after I've done all of my work that I've needed to do, I open up my bullet journal and do the most satisfying thing, which is checking off every little piece. Even if it's just like, do laundry, check, or check the syllabus, check. And I would do that at night so that I'd feel prepared for the following day. You know that those times when you're just lying in bed and your thoughts are racing about all the things that you need to remember and all the things that you need to get done the next day and you just can't fall asleep? That doesn't happen to me when I bullet journal at night. It just doesn't. I'm able to just get everything down, and I don't feel like I'm missing something, and I don't feel like I'm going to forget anything. It's all there, and for me, that was the best time to bullet journal at night, and then just check up on it, check things off the list throughout the day. But for a lot of people, it's first thing in the morning, crack open the bullet journal, okay, what do I need to get done today? Make a list, feel confident about it. So again, as I've said throughout this whole video, the bullet journal experience is 100% customizable. There's no one telling you what to do. Find a time that works for you at least once a day to crack open the journal, check in with yourself, check in with how you're feeling, check in with what you've done and what you need to still get done. And I promise you, it'll help build that habit so easily. You don't need to be an artist. You don't need to know how to do calligraphy. You do not need to have a collection of pens and washi tapes. All that stuff is cute, and don't get me wrong, I definitely do use my bullet journal as a creative outlet, but that does not mean that you need to. But with that being said, anything that makes you excited about using your bullet journal, do it. Your bullet journal can be your vision board. It could help you set aside goals. It can help you keep track of your goals. So a lot of people will do goals for the year at the beginning of their bullet journal, and then at the end of each month, they do a goal check-in page where they just reflect on those goals, if they want to change them, if they were able to achieve them, if they're closer to achieving them. So that was a bit of a ramble. Clearly I have a lot to say about bullet journaling because I've been doing it for so long and I've tried to convince everyone I know to start a bullet journal. But let's start a conversation in the comments. Did this help you? Do you have any questions? What are some of your reservations when it comes to starting a bullet journal? I really want to know, and I want to help. I think I have more knowledge about it than I shared. Again, I'm still new to this whole thing, but some of your biggest resources when it comes to bullet journaling, aside from those Pinterest inspirations, obviously, like the bullet journal queen is Amanda Rachel here on YouTube. I also really like the plant-based bride. She has really beautiful spreads for inspiration, and her videos are really calming. I also, for students, a channel called Caitlin's Corner. Oh, by the way, these are all Canadian gals. Maybe I can sneak into their little cool bullet journal club, maybe. Anyways, Caitlin's Corner is really cool for spreads for students. And just stay tuned to this channel. I've already shared like a plan with me for November, and it is the most basic plan with me and spread that you could probably ever do in your bullet journal. So that's a good way to start if you're just wanting to start super simple. Take it a week at a time. Don't stress yourself out about it. It's not supposed to be a stressful thing. It's supposed to make you relaxed. And yeah, let's have a party in the comments and start a thread about bullet journals and geek out with me and join my cult. You can do it. You got this. 2021 is your year, I promise. And I'll see you for my next video.